Imagine being an unknown kid from Germany, stepping into the biggest tournament on the planet, armed with pure aggression, and walking out $8 million richer, a world champion. Pius Heinz, a young German with no major live titles, no elite training camp behind him, and absolutely no hesitation. The field, nearly 7,000 players. The prize, a life-changing $8.7 million. But there was only one problem. No one thought he could win. In fact, most didn't expect him to survive the early days, let alone win the ultimate prize. So how did an online grinder with fearless aggression take down one of the most intense final tables in main event history and shock the world? Let's find out. We start things off at the final table, where the gap in styles is massive. A room packed with tension, millions on the line. Yet somehow, two of the biggest threats couldn't help but crack a smile. Pius Heinz and Ben Lamb, trading glances, trying and failing to keep straight faces.
26-year-old Las Vegas pros here along with Collins and Giannetti.
Even if Lamb went out ninth, this World Series performance would stand among the best ever, but he has loftier goals and a re-raise to $3,050,000.
Well, there's a good snapshot of Ben Lamb re-raising with King 5. He looks for spots, not for cards.
But in a raise and a re-raise, and they do fold it back to Heins. And Heins says, you got it, and folds the ace-jack.
One cat burglar takes it from the other.
But the smiles didn't last long. Moments later, Heins faced a 4-bet. Let's just say he came to play, and he came swinging.
Heins away from the table without his hoodie. You have absolutely no idea who he is.
Heins says he plays his best game when he can dismiss the importance of the moment. That's a tall order here. Heins raises it up to $2.1 million. Ben Lamb folds his button.
Yeah, it's impossible not to recognize Heins at the table between his hoodie and his aggression.
Both blinds fold back to Collins now, who just limped with ace-queen.
Yeah, we saw Phil open limp. Collins very confident in his post-flop play, but since he got raised here, he might be thinking about springing a trap.
We'll find out how serious he is here. With ace-queen, he re-raises to $4.5 million.
Well, I often call ace-queen the Grim Reaper of Hold'em, and Collins here on the edge of reaping Grimlon.
Heins now.
Come on.
Wow, he now gets a little more serious. He re-raises all in, forcing Phil Collins to fold.
Yeah, that would have been for almost all of Phil Collins' chips. He makes the right laydown, and Pius Heinz shoots up the leader.
In a 3-bet pot, Heins sat in position, holding a monster. It was time to find out if the young German could handle the pressure when the stakes were sky high.
9-9, don't play with the young German pro. Just a call from Ben.
Yeah, you see Ben changing it up there. We saw him re-raise earlier with a weak hand. Here, just calling with a strong hand.
Matt Giannetti, wearing the shades tonight, folds to Benara with the cigar on the button. 7 tray into the muck to the small blind. Owen O'D on the Jack Link's beef jerky whole cam. Ace-queen.
Part of the first father and son tandem ever to make the main event final table. His dad, Donica, did it in 1983 and 91. Now Owen does it in 2011.
Donica in attendance tonight.
And for OD here, not a good time to have the Grim Reaper of Hold'em, the ace-queen.
OD's not going anywhere. A raise from Heins, a call from Lamb, and now a re-raise from the Irishman to $4.1 million.
Well, out of the small blind, OD will try to pick up the pot right here. I don't like his chances.
Collins folded his big blind back to Heins now with the 2 black queens.
OD plays a pretty solid game. If I were Heins, I'd be worried about aces or kings.
Well, Heins is pausing for reflection here. Just a call for $2.8 million more. Now back to Ben Lamb with the 9s.
And Ben Lamb now getting almost 4-1 on a call here. He's in awful shape, though.
He's seen the solid pro OD 3-bet after the uber aggressive player on his right opened for a raise, and Lamb does give it up. There is Donica OD sitting with Owen's sister. The flop now heads up 8-8-4. OD, the pre-flop re-raiser, having to play this hand out of position against Heins. OD reaching for chips. That is $4.6 million from the Irishman.
Well, OD missed that flop, but he's going to represent an overpair to the board. Ace-queen digging in deeper.
The man with the overpair to the board. Pius Heinz just calls.
I don't know if Heins is worried about aces or kings. I don't know if he's trapping. I don't know much.
That is the strength of Heinz's game. Turn card, the deuce of clubs. Heins picks up a flush draw to go with his leading two pair.
Owen says the only advice his dad gave him during the main event was making sure he changed his flights home on time.
Most of these players had to change their flights a couple of times back in July during the early days of the main event. And OD comes out with a bet of 8.2 million, just under half the pot.
His dad might have advised him there to give up on the ace-queen.
That's about half of Heinz's stack.
A lot of pressure on Pius Heinz, who's asking himself a simple question: does Owen OD have aces or kings? He's betting it like he does.
Heins, as mentioned, just 16 million chips behind.
I'm all in.
And he says all in again.
Well, forget that Owen OD is getting 5-1 on a call here. He knows he's crushed. His cards will be in the muck.
OD has just about 4 million more than Heins, but he's got a sick look on his face, and he does give up the ace-queen. Heins will take that big pot.
The next clash wasn't about chipping up. One player moved all in pre-flop, fighting for their tournament life with two Broadway cards. Heins had a decision to make, and the outcome would be a defining moment in his charge for the title.
Heins with pocket nines makes the call. Just another day at the office, Norman.
That was just bang, bang, blind on blind. Makieski at risk.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck. Thank you. Thank you.
The two youngest players here are friendly rivals, and the German now trying to send the Ukrainian home.
All right, here's the flop. It is king, jack, jack. Makieski flops kings up, and now a big favorite to double through Heins.
Makieski became chip leader on day 7 with a king, jack, jack flop against Chris Moore, and now the king, jack, jack flop might extend Anton's main event.
On the left, Pius's mom, Rezi, has seen her son play a strong game tonight.
But we haven't seen the best of Anton yet tonight. He needs some chips to show off that creative Makieski aggression.
Third card is a 9. Anton can't believe it. And with a full boat, Heins turns the tables on Makieski.
A devastating blow to Makieski, and now he might be down to his final card. Anton needs a king or a jack.
The river, the 7 of hearts, and Makieski will go out meekly in 8th place.
Not every battle at the final table was about massive pots. Sometimes it was the small scrappy hands that tested a champion's patience. From the big blind, an opponent defended with a speculative hand and kept Heins guessing every step of the way.
Now, in the big blind, 4 deuce of clubs.
On day 5, he had 11 big blinds left. On day 7, he took the chip lead, and here he is at the final table.
The November Niners, Norman, were a football team. Giannetti would be the middle linebacker. He cuts an intimidating figure. He makes a call for $1 million.
Well, we know Giannetti doesn't like to give up his big blind. I guess Giannetti is floptimistic.
Here is the flop. Deuce 7-9, a pair of deuces gets Giannetti partway there, but he's still a 3-1 dog, and he checks. Heins now, the best hand, pocket 8s, bets 2.1 million.
We saw Giannetti make the big blind work against Bonara. He gets a piece of this flop. He might figure Heins just making a standard continuation bet with big cards, so he's going to plunder on.
Giannetti makes the call. He was born in Massachusetts, became an honorary Texan when he went to school at UT Austin. Another deuce on the turn, and Giannetti has the magic touch as he takes the lead and checks again.
A card deck is so unreliable, Lon. How could a deuce be the next card we see?
Heins checks back, and the river card is a 9, and Giannetti now with deuces full. Giannetti with chips in hand this time. And that is $4,250,000.
Pius wondering, what can he have? What can he have? I guarantee you he doesn't think Giannetti has a deuce in his hand.
Oh.
Heins will pay off Giannetti with the call, and a full boat will bring Pius Heinz back to earth just a little bit.
This time, the TV cameras didn't even show his cards. It was a total mystery. What would you do in his spot? Try read the action, trust your instincts, and make your best guess.
The 2.2 million, and Pius Heinz has the Jack Links beef jerky wildcard hand, Norman.
I'm going to tell you what a 22-year-old madman in a hoodie chewing gum is holding. Sure, no problem.
Well, you at home and Norman can take this multiple choice quiz and try to figure out the chip leader's holdings as Heinz just makes the call.
This is blind versus blind. Heinz could be calling here with anything. I'll put him on A or D, ace jack or queen nine suited.
8 deuce jack, middle pair for Collins. Collins reaching for chips. The oversized red, white, and blue chips worth $500,000 each. That's $2 million from Collins.
So let's looking at the choices. Heinz either has a pair of jacks now, an up and down straight draw, pocket sixes, or a gut shot with the queen nine.
Whatever he has, it's worthy of a call.
I think he's playing this one tricky. I think he's calling here with top pair, top kicker. That's A.
Turn card, 4 of hearts, and Mrs. Collins. Still will check this time.
If Heinz has D, queen nine of hearts, he's now picked up a flush draw, but I have him on top pair, top kicker. Fire away!
Heinz does not fire away, he checks back.
He checked. I have no idea what he has.
River card, another jack, the jack of hearts.
But we do know what Phil Collins has, thankfully. And if I'm him, I believe my eights are good now. Why wouldn't they be? I would value bet here maybe $3.5 million.
Wow. Close to that and his hand, $3.3 million.
See, me and Phil Collins are of the same mind. Actually, that's probably a problem for Phil Collins.
But you need to figure out Heinz. Pius Heinz with some of those beige chips worth $250,000 each. And here's a raise to over $10 million.
Well, if I may state the obvious line, which is my best feature, Heinz either is bluffing or he's not. And I just don't think he's bluffing here. He either flopped that gut shot and made runner-runner flush, or he's weirdly played ace-jack and has trip jacks.
Collins with a pair of eights and the jacks on board gives up his hand. Heinz had ace-jack, trips to win the Jack Links beef jerky wildcard hand. Well done, Norman.
The next hand turned up the heat. One player was all in and staring down elimination, and when the turn card hit, everything changed. There's such a thing in poker as too many outs.
Collins sitting on 18 big blinds. He knows Pius Heinz could be opening with a wide range.
All in.
All in.
Collins moves all in. Heinz looking for an exact count.
Heinz would have to call off about a quarter of his stack here with the pocket nines.
I call.
And Pius does make the call. And he's a 2-to-1 favorite to get this championship table four-handed.
Not a whole lot going good for Phil Collins tonight.
His wife, Katie, on her feet. His best hope, the ace right now. Pius Heinz just keeps rolling and rolling along. Here is the flop. 6-5-4. Collins picks up an open-ended straight draw.
Jack of diamonds.
Heinz enjoying the moment. Why not?
On the right, Katie Collins, not so much. The turn card now is a 9 and a set for Heinz, but Collins picks up more outs with the flush draw.
I'm pretty sure Black Friday never happens.
Live poker is so weak, honestly. It's so weak.
Good luck, Phil.
Fun!
Is it going to be the Pius Heinz song again, or is it going to be another day in paradise for Phil Collins?
The river card is a 7, and Phil Collins comes up empty. His World Series is over.
Another mystery hand. Heinz fired a bet, but was it a value bet or a bluff? The cameras kept his cards hidden and the pressure was sky high. Watch the action closely and see if you can figure it out before the truth is revealed.
I don't think he'd limp with pocket jacks. I'm going to put him on A or B, ace-4 suited or 8-7 suited.
Ace-10 suited for Ben Lamb in the big blind.
He's trying to become the second main event champion born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Poker Hall of Famer Bobby Baldwin won it all in 1978 when he was 28.
Lamb raised it up to $2.7 million. Heins, with his mystery hand, makes the call.
In their spare time, Lamb and Heins work on their synchronized posing.
Here's the flop 10, Jack 7. Lamb scores middle pair. Heins first to act, and it looks like he wants to lead out here. 3.1 million.
Well, I'll eliminate ace 4. I think he's betting here with bottom pair and a gut shot, or D, the up and down straight draw.
Now, Ben Lamb jousting with the overwhelming chip leader.
Heins limp called pre-flop, so Ben might think Pius has middle cards, and that board's pretty scary for middle cards.
Turn card now. The king gives Lamb a Broadway draw to go with his 10s.
I like the fact that Heins can posture himself so Lamb can't stare him down.
I think that's by design.
Well, I'd say his action here will really define Pius's hand, but nothing really ever defines Pius's hand.
Many players have been trying to define Pius's hand since back in July. Pius working hard to put some chips together. And that's about half the pot, 6.3 million.
I think he might have gone lucky and completed the straight with Queen 9. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, Lon.
D it is. I'm marking it.
Ben might be thinking like me, but he's getting 3-1 on a call here, so I think he'll come along with his pair and a draw and see what Heins does on the river.
Pius is a tough man to read, and Lamb folds his 10s. Heins had ace 4 on the Jack Link's beef jerky wildcard hand. Sorry, Norman.
How stupid could I be? Of course he was bluffing. That's all he ever does.
Another opportunity landed in front of Heins. Pre-flop, the chips went in. Another player at risk of elimination. It was a critical moment, a chance to edge even closer to the title, or watch the momentum slip
Lamb
away.
folds. Staszko in the small blind on the Jack Link's beef jerky hole cam. Ace 8 offsuit. And Staszko re-raises all in for over 21.5 million.
Staszko ships it with 21 big blinds left.
Count.
Giannetti folds. Heins wants to know how much that all in is worth.
It's about 20% of Heins' stack, and even if he were to call and lose here, he'd still have the chip lead.
Pius Heinz holding Staszko's immediate fate in his hands. The Plaid clan being put through the ringer.
Call.
Heinz makes the call, and Staszko, the chip leader for 3.5 months, is all in and trailing.
Staszko awaits his fate. Shouldn't Heins offer Martina a last sip of water before he knocks him out? That would be the decent thing to do.
So the Heinz hoodies on the rail have confidence their man can score the knockout. His pocket pair against the ace 8 of Staszko.
Staszko's been swimming with the young sharks here, but he's navigated dangerous waters pretty well.
You want to get this over with now? Or we keep playing?
I do.
All right, here we go with Staszko at risk. The flop, 8-5-8. Trip 8s for Staszko. But Heins not done yet.
But a huge flop for Staszko, and it looks like this 4-man field is going to tighten up some.
The turn card for diamonds. Heins adds a gut shot.
Yeah, Heins triples his outs with that turn card.
Martin came in as the chip leader, but with one bad river card, he's out.
I feel it's coming, honestly.
I think it's a 6.
Me too.
Heins needs a 6 or a 7 to end Martin Staszko's main event.
The river card, the queen of clubs, and Staszko will survive and double up to 44.6 million.
After a long, brutal battle, it was down to 2. Facing Heins was Martin Staszko, a quiet, unshakable grinder from the Czech Republic. Before the main event, he worked for a steel company far from the bright lights of Las Vegas. But now, he was one match away from forging his own piece of poker history. Heads up for the main event title, and right on cue, Heins picked up pocket aces, the best hand in poker at the biggest moment of his life. Now the question was simple: could he finish the job?
Pius Heinz on the Jack Link's beef jerky hole, cam with pocket aces.
Heinz always has a game plan for 9-6 offsuit, but I don't think he practices pocket aces that often.
Blinds at 800,000 and 1.6 million, 200,000 chip ante. And there's a raise to 3.4 million. Staszko with queen 9.
Staszko trying to become the first from Czech Republic ever to win the main event. Heinz trying to become the first from Germany to do it.
For 1.8 million more, Staszko calls Heinz's raise. And the flop is 5 queen deuce. Staszko collects top pair in that flop, which might be expensive for him.
That flop could cost Staszko a lot of chips, Lon.
He does check. Heins with the aces, bets 3,750,000.
And this is how uber aggressive players sometimes get paid off. You just never believe they have a hand because they usually don't have a hand. Plus, in this case, Staszko has flop top pair.
Staszko makes that call with his pair of queens. Heins loves to see that. Turn card now is an ace. Heins with trips. Staszko drawing dead. Staszko checks again. Now can Pius extract more from Martin with the ace out there?
Well, if Heins had 9-6 off, he might still be plowing ahead here. So it's hard to know when he has a set of aces.
Heins putting chips together. And Heins bets 8.6 million. That's about what he would bet with anything, like you said, Norman.
Well, if I'm Staszko, I'm thinking that maybe Heins is on a flush draw and is just trying to run me over. And why wouldn't he think that? I'd hate to be on the Autobahn with Pius Heinz behind me.
Heins has been running people over since last July, and there's the call from Staszko. Exactly what Heins was hoping for. Tray of diamonds now puts a third diamond on the board and 4 cards to a straight out there.
Yeah, unlikely either player would have a 4 in his hand to make the wheel.
Staszko checks again. And now Heins trying to figure out what Staszko might call here. Staszko with 16.8 million, just over half the pot again.
That diamond might cost Heins some call-in chips from Staszko. If Staszko had him on a flush draw, it got there on the river.
Staszko lays down his pair of queens, and Heins will win that battle without having to show his cards, and he takes back the chip lead.
In the critical hand, he kept firing, forcing Staszko into the deep end, hand after hand. The weight of the moment was real.
Once again, Jack 9 offsuit.
Heins, of course, the now more traditional route here, the online young gun. He says he studied business psychology in college, but I believe he majored in 3-betting.
The 22-year-old with raising chips, he does re-raise it to 10,100,000.
I think Staszko is getting used to these guys trying to push him around. And sometimes you just got to push back.
He has changed his game to match the aggression of his opponents when needed. And here's the call with his king-queen.
Not a push back, but he's going to defend his honor.
All right, now the flop. Over 20 million in the middle. 7 deuce 10. Staszko's king-queen still ahead. Heins with a gut shot.
And Heins treats a gut shot on the flop like regular people treat 2-pair on the flop.
He keeps the motor gunning. How much is it? 9.8 million.
Staszko got no piece of that flop. But now we see him getting a little stubborn here. He doesn't want to give up.
Well, we know he has the best hand. But how does he feel about it? Well, there's another call.
Staszko calling the flop. Likely intent on bluffing at it on the turn.
Turn card now is an ace. That misses both, so Martin's still best.
I'm not sure what turn card Pius Heinz would not bet right here.
And certainly that ace has to worry Staszko, especially since Heins is reaching for chips. 21.3 million.
Bishop to b5. Staszko's move.
Martin looking for his best defense.
All in.
And there is one, all in for almost 61 million. Heins mucks immediately. What a play by Martin Staszko.
Yeah, I didn't expect that gutsy move. His best defense was a big offense.
Heins wasn't just applying pressure, he was unleashing it. Relentless bets, non-stop aggression, daring Staszko to make a stand. But with so much on the line, you had to wonder, was this pure genius or a reckless gamble waiting to explode?
$3.3 million difference between champion and runner-up, and with 7-6 off, Heins with a raise to $3.4 million. Ace-9 of clubs for Staszko.
I've got to say, my first instinct was against it, but Martin Staszko makes plaid work.
With his suited ace, he just calls. All right, so plaid versus hoodie, as you said. Here is the flop. Ace-9 trade, top 2 for Staszko. Nothing for Pius Heinz.
When you flop a big hand against an aggressive opponent, check, and he often will bet. And if you just check call, your opponent often will overcommit and bet the turn as well.
Staszko does check, his ace is up. And Heins rarely disappoints when given the opportunity to bet.
Now in this spot, Heins has a draw to a draw. That's about it.
Well, you and I have a draw to a draw right now. Heins with 3.8 million. Staszko says thank you very much.
Yeah, Staszko should just check call here. I just laid it out for him.
I'm sure he'll thank you later for laying out his blueprint to a world title. Staszko just does make the call.
There you go. Martin's a chess expert. I'm a checkers expert. Great minds think alike.
And there's another ace that keeps getting better for Martin. Ace is full.
All right, let's check call it, Martin.
There's the check part. Heins.
Well, Heins didn't even pick up a draw, but of course, that might not slow him down.
My goodness. Heins with 8.4 million. It's as though Christmas time has come to Trennick.
Heins drawn dead. That's too many chips. That's too many chips.
There is a check raised to 18.5 million.
Well, if Martin's raising here, Staszko putting Heins on a stronger hand than he really has. Heins has nuclear squadouche.
Martin playing with a lot of confidence right now. Heins doesn't think this hand is a lost cause just yet, makes the call.
You gotta love this guy. Heins won't give up. He's got spunk. He's gonna try to take away this baby on the river.
Well, the river gives Pius a pair of sixes. Nearly 52 million chips in the middle. Staszko with the full house, and he wants to lead out this time.
This is a mistake by Staszko. He figures Heins must have an ace.
20,250,000.
Now, Heins can't call here, but if Staszko had checked, Pius would have stabbed at it again. Actually, part of Heins's body wants to raise right here, but his mind won't let him.
Habits are tough to break. Pius Heinz trying to read into Martin Staszko, and Heins folds. Staszko will take that big pot.
Then came the hand that changed everything. A wild collision, and when the dust settled, one player was left clinging to their tournament life. The road to victory just got a whole lot steeper.
The Chris Moneymaker of Czech Republic, winning this title could ignite a poker boom back home.
The chip leader calls for $1 million to Heins with ace of hearts, queen of hearts.
I would say it's a statistical improbability. Heins will let Staszko get away with limping in here.
Well, history does repeat itself, and here it goes. There's the raise to 7.9 million from Heins.
What a contrast in styles. Heins keeps flailing away. Staszko keeps absorbing the punishment.
Staszko with the big chip lead right now.
How much more? 5.5?
Needs 5.5 million to call. He does put his chips together in one hand and then put them onto the felt. There is the call.
Pius Heinz has to be a little frustrated. He keeps attacking. Staszko keeps defending. He can't shake him with his bets. Of course, it would help if Heins could occasionally make a hand.
All right, here is the flop. 10-7, king, 2 clubs. Heins with a Broadway draw, negating Staszko's straight draw, but Staszko also has a flush draw.
Heins with a Broadway draw, one of the better looking hands he has seen on the flop. He had pocket aces early on in heads up, but generally it's been like trying to make wine out of water.
So Heins now with some possibilities, as you mentioned, with that flop. And he will keep testing Staszko. Exactly half the pot, 8.2 million.
And again, Martin Staszko doesn't want to go away, and I wouldn't expect him to here with flush and straight draws.
Staszko wants to Pius Heinz what Pius Heinz has been doing to everyone. Keep the heat on. And there is a raise to 17.5 million.
Yeah, this time Staszko hits back. Aggressors don't like being aggressed, but sometimes when they're aggressed, their natural instinct is to aggress back. A little aggress can lead to a lot of aggress, and before you know it, you've got aggression from here to Helsinki. That's the world in a nutshell, Lon.
Somehow that made sense.
I'm all in.
Heins says, I'm ready to play for my stack. Are you game, Martin?
Wow, that's a gutsy play for all your chips with the World Championship at stake, and Heins has a lot of chips. What does Staszko do? He knows he has to be behind, but as it turns out, he's not behind by that much. And if Martin folds right here, he would give up the chip lead, though not by much.
Call.
Staszko makes the call to put Heins at risk. And Staszko has 12 outs twice to win all the chips.
Heins shows moxie with his all-in, and some moxie from Staszko with his all-in call, but he's a mathematical player, and he knew that there were very few hands he'd be in awful shape against, and with just a little luck, the check can end it here.
Staszko with his draw, trying to win it right here. Heins ahead right now with his own draw and ace high.
You're both on a draw, both willing to gamble.
The turn card, tray of hearts, Heins still ahead. One more street to survive and grab a huge lead. Staszko needs help on the river. Heins' supporters calling for a red deuce to secure the double up.
Staszko still with 12 outs to take home main event gold. He's looking for a 9 or any club, and the title is his.
The river is a 6 of spades. Pius Heinz scores the monster double up with ace high.
It all came down to this, the final hand of the 2011 main event. We know who walks away a champion, but the real question is, was this a brilliant closeout by Heins, or a gift from Staszko, who still had 16 big blinds and a fighting
First
chance?
place money and the gold bracelet sit between these two heads-up combatants. Staszko with 10-7 of clubs.
All in.
Staszko shoves.
All in.
Players all in.
Pius Heinz with ace-king makes the call, and here we go.
Staszko pushes with 16 big blinds left. He could have waited a little longer for a better hand. Heins now in position to become the first German to take home his world title, and Pius would be the second youngest main event champ ever.
Everyone here on their feet. Pius Heinz with the best of it and 5 cards from winning $8.7 million. And the young German win it here. The flop, 5, deuce, 9, 1 club in there, neither pairs up.
Not a lot in there for Staszko. For Heins, ace high was good enough to double up, and now ace high might be good enough to end it.
Heins just says, give me a clean board. Turn card, jack of hearts. Heins still best. Staszko picks up 4 additional outs with a gut shot.
Staszko with a little more hope to hang on to. Both players hoping to make history.
Both of these men have been through so much to make it to this point.
Staszko looking for an 8, 10, or 7, or Pius Heinz is our champion.
The river card is a 4, and that will end it!
Pius Heinz had done it. a fearless performance that stunned the poker world and crowned him world champion. But Heins wasn't the only underdog who shook up the main event. If you want to see another incredible story, where an outsider also took on the pros with pure heart and aggression, check out our breakdown of Qui Wynn's unforgettable final table run. You won't believe how wild that journey was.